And we are back, folks, for the last talk of the day. Karan Balkar will tell us about developing touchless apps that talk. So let's hear him out. Welcome, Karan. Hey, Karan, how are you? How is it going?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Really looking forward to your talk. But this one will be about the touchless apps that talk. But I've seen that you also have been working with augmented reality and virtual reality for mobile applications. So there, I can really imagine like augmented reality when you kind of like see something through the camera and just add stuff. But like the virtual reality with the mobile devices, what was that about?
Okay, so yes, so I started working on AR and VR based applications since a couple of years, and mainly what fascinated me was something called 3.js. So it's a very popular framework out there, and I started using it, for these developing these applications, and then moved to more, platforms like Unity and other platforms as well. So well, it started off with JavaScript, as as you say, and then it has moved to platforms, well-known
Or
platforms like Unity.
got more serious into the direction.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I see, I see. But today's talk will be more about the touchless apps that talk. So there is probably like some story behind it, like why they need to be touchless, right?
Exactly. So that is what I'm going to explain as well. Yes.
So then let's just get straight into it because I am really curious.
Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay. So
Yeah, it's
I
coming.
hope. Okay. So I hope you're able to see my screen. Yes. Hello. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Oh yes, 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 of course. Please.
Okay. So before I start, let me thank the entire team of JSday Italy 2021 for inviting me to present this talk. So thank you so much for this opportunity. So today's talk, as mentioned, is I've named it as developing touchless apps that talk. But before we actually go towards the development part, first we need to understand what exactly is touchless apps. So first of all, a brief introduction about me. So my name is Karan, and I was born and brought up in Mumbai, India. So I come from India, and I've been working as an Android developer primarily for the last now more than 5+ years now. I've mainly been involved in developing B2C and B2B based applications. I've also worked on technologies like AR, VR, and AI. And more recently, I've been exploring this untapped space of voice assistance and voice based activation. So I've been also doing a lot of research on this. So that's about me, basically, in a nutshell. Okay, so this is the world today. So today we are all in virtual meetings, right? Today we are all present. We are all doing these conferences or virtual meetings. Work from home is something that has become, the thing that everyone is doing right now. Social distancing, they say, has become the buzzword nowadays, and then every one of us are mainly following these guidelines. And our workspaces, if you say, our workspaces are actually slowly evolving so that we can come to terms with this so-called new normal. So ever since the pandemic started, every one of us have actually moved to a different space, I would say. And today we are actually trying to evolve considering all these factors as well. So this is about the world that exists today. Now, before I actually move to what is touchless apps, we need to first understand why basically this came into existence. So, ever since the pandemic started, I think the one thing that all of us experienced is that there was a lot of fear, or I would say a lot of people used to avoid touching any surface. So basically, there was a lot of things where people used to fear whether if it could touch, there would be a fear of maybe some bacteria, some viruses getting through if you touch any surface. So there was always some some fear that came into people's mind, especially when they moved like outside or moved to any public places. So that is one thing that I think all of us must have experienced. Then there was also a shift towards something called as zero UI. Now zero UI is nothing. It's a concept that exists already. But like, to give you a simple example, I think the Microsoft Kinect, or the Magic Leap technology, I think that is one of the good examples of zero UI, where you are actually interacting with certain gesture based interfaces. So there is no touch as such involved, but you're using gestures basically to interact with the device. So the zero UI concept was basically, now it seems that we are actually shifting more towards this this kind of concept. And of course we are all trying to reduce, or trying to make sure that whatever time we spent is reduced, because all of us want things to be done at a faster rate now, and we all want a better service, right? So this is something that has happened ever since the pandemic started. Now, coming to touchless technology itself. Now, touchless technology also is not something that has come up recently, but it has been there for long. So if you ask me what are the main types of touchless technology, so I would say, I've listed it down. So first is basically about near field communication. Is something that we all use. I think the NFC cards, the NFC chips nowadays are, they're used to do a lot of things. I think payments or any kind of transactions also use NFC. QR code and barcode is also something that a lot of us use in our day-to-day lives, along with Bluetooth and biometric as well. So these are something that all of us have seen at various public places, or at various kind of, even in organizations, where people are using these kind of technologies to do a lot of the task which is there. So these are the things that already people are aware, and people are talking about. But the thing that I actually was excited to share today is about voice first technologies. Now, voice first technologies are, they are said to be one of the next things that could help actually improve the whole end to end processing. Now, how that could be done is something that I would also explain. But then, if you ask me today, what is the best way by which developers could actually solve problems, I would say it's conversation. Because conversation makes it so easy that you can actually explain to someone your problem, and then you can, using natural language, we communicate, and that problem can be solved quickly, rather than having to write those emails and back and forth. So there's these kind of things can be avoided if you're using natural, something which is more natural. So that is basically using voice first technologies. Now, so that is about how the year and a half has been gone so far. Now, coming towards basically what are touchless apps. Now, over the year, like over last, I think 1 year, I think there's a lot of rise that has happened in terms of touchless apps. Now, so if you ask me what is actually meant by going touchless, I would say anything that doesn't involve a physical contact. So that is basically touchless. Now, if you see, a simple example would be something like, if you go into a restaurant and you have, if you want to order maybe something, and you basically do not want to get in touch, or touch any surface as such, but then you have something in a screen or something in front of you, by which you can either interact using voice or any other form of interaction, be it gesture or voice, and that can actually help you to do the same task of ordering a meal without actually you touching any kind of whether it's the surface or any other thing. So that is basically something that is meant by going touchless. So then the next question is that, are actually handshakes over? So this is something that a lot of people are also thinking, whether is it that we now have to stop doing handshakes? So, well, maybe I would say yes, maybe no, but then it all depends, because nowadays it's public health and public hygiene is something that we all need to take into consideration. And then yes, so of course, the instead of handshakes, we could always go for our elbow bumps and air hugs, but then this is something that we'll have to also take into consideration going forward in the future. So after all, in case of like, if you have to avoid, or if you have to survive in case of a global health crisis, we also have to make sure our technologies are also capable of catering to these kind of crisis. So this is where basically there is a rise of touchless apps, and especially touchless platforms, I would say, where people are now, or organizations are actually investing in this kind of application development in order to make sure that in case such a crisis occurs in the future as well, they will be able to still continue with their meeting their business demands. So that is where a lot of touchless apps have now been introduced by various organizations. And the most important question that also would come to my mind is about user privacy and security. So, of course, this is something that is also important. But I'll be talking about this part specifically in the future slides. So I'll park this for now. Now, coming to the next slide. So, if you ask me what's going out, in the area of touchless apps right now, so I think there's a lot of things going on right now. So, the one of the first adopters of this kind of touchless apps or touchless technology was the aviation industry. So, the aviation industry has been, using this kind of concept for quite some time now, and a lot of us who travel frequently, maybe on airports, and this would, would have experienced this also. uh, Restaurants again, or public places, or even dining halls are also basically experiencing this kind of touchless technology also been implemented. So again, this is basically to limit the transmission of any bacteria, germs, or any viruses, by creating, I would say, a contactless or a minimum contact environment or a low contact environment. So that is also something that is restaurants are slowly adopting. Touchless payments, I think all of us are aware of how this works. So touchless payments is where you do not actually physically touch a particular machine, but you use maybe a chip or a card, which or a device basically to do your payment. So basically that is how you end up doing payments. An interesting area is about elevators. Now elevators also, they are slowly having to adopt this kind of technology. Again, this is basically because one would obviously try to minimize the contact part. So that is basically something that even elevator companies are now thinking about how it can be used in that way. And the end basically is, I think, the retail industry also is slowly adopting this particular technology. And a quick fact for you here is that Gartner, so Gartner is a famous research organization. Now Gartner actually predicts that by 2024, 80% of ordering and replenishment will be touchless for most organizations. So this is again an interesting research or fact that Gartner has also come out. So I thought of sharing this as well. So going forward, I think there is a lot of things that would be done in this space to make our lives much easier. Now, coming to the topic for today, which is how do you actually develop or how do you actually create a touchless app? So, a touchless app can be created using any technology. So, again, it's not focused on any particular technology. But then, if you ask me how to quickly develop it, here is where I would help you. So this is basically, so here I would like to talk about how I actually went about developing a touchless app. And this app basically uses a library called Anyang. So Anyang is a JavaScript, a tiny JavaScript library. I would say it is extremely lightweight, and it has zero dependencies. So it has absolutely no dependencies, and this is what one can leverage or one can use to create easily a touchless app. So how that can be done, or how Anyang can be used, is something that I would like to showcase in the form of a demo. So right now I will show you a progressive PWA. So basically I've developed a PWA that uses Anyang to. So this example basically is of a restaurant, and here I would showcase how one can actually place an order. Okay. So this is basically using voice command. So I would give a voice command. So I would like to order a cappuccino. Okay, so I would like to order a cappuccino. Okay, so let me try again. I would like to order a cappuccino. Okay, I would like to order a pizza. Okay, so here it comes. So it asks me how many items. So I say 2 items. Okay, I think it reckons. So 2 items. Okay, so 2 items. Okay, I think it's recognizing. So let me try again. 2 items. Okay, 2 items. Okay, now it's fine. So whether it's preferring dining or takeaway, I would say takeaway, takeaway. Okay, so it has basically accepted that. So here is where one can actually do, I think it can be either done, so if there's a QR code which is generated, so either one can scan that, or he could use a voice command again. So I would say place order, place order. Okay, so it would navigate to me to a screen where I could just do a simple confirmation. So I confirm whether the the order quantity is right, etc. And then I say the code. So this can be again an automatic generated code. It can be sent through an SMS or something. And then I said that I wanted to order a pizza. Of course, I wanted to order 2 pizzas, of course. And then my order mode is takeaway. So here, if I want to, maybe confirm the part, I would, have to mention this code, right? So there will be some sort of authentication so that it can be authenticated. So I would say the code is 4740. Okay, so the code is 4740. Okay, so let me try again. The code is 4740. Okay, so I think let me try refreshing. So refresh. Okay, refresh. Okay, so it refreshed. So let me try again. The code is 6035. Okay, the code is 6035. Okay, now it's working. So okay, so once it's finalized, you can say confirm. Okay, confirm. Okay, so this is basically doing a simple match. So it can be a logic which you can actually validate against the backend, and then once the payment is been successfully completed, you can see that your order has been placed, and then you can say home. So home to basically go back to the home screen. So I would try once again, home. Okay, home. Okay, now it says. So I think there is a slight delay, but then I think the microphone is, I'm talking at the same time using the microphone, so maybe there is a slight delay. But this is how basically a progressive, one can actually easily develop a progressive web app. Now coming to why exactly I chose to develop this as a PWA is also something that I'll be talking about. Now the advantages of using a PWA is that again you have you have 3 advantages I would like to highlight here. So one is basically you have a mobile first kind of approach, and you can actually combine the UX of a native app with the benefits of a mobile web. So again, this would actually help leverage the web technologies and actually create an intuitive experience as well on that case. And the most important is that it helps you to install. So basically, being a progressive web app, you can actually install it and you can actually start using it without you even have to upload it to any server or any Play Store or any App Store that could manage that. So it can be done seamlessly using just a browser. So the benefits of using a PWA is that, of course, it is a platform and device agnostic. So you can use any kind of device, whether it's whether a smartphone or a desktop or any kind of even any device that supports web technologies, and then this could actually work for you. There will be no updating issues, so one need not rely on any updates that will be done to the app. So one need not push an update every time. And then of course the development effort and cost is very less in this case, because you need not actually go about developing a separate maybe a code component for say a mobile platform, and then separate code component for a web. You can actually have this developed in as a progressive web app, and you can use it on any mobile device as well as on a desktop device. So that is one of the advantages also that PWAs offer in general. So, what are the challenges actually that exist? So, as I said, I'll be talking about this in the future slide. So, the main thing is about user privacy and security. Now, as you saw, that there's a lot of although that was a sample, but then there is a lot of things that would go behind in terms of user privacy and security, and how one can actually authenticate the user whether he's actually the right user or not. So here is something that I think a lot of challenges exist today, because systems are not that robust, or that security, tight security has been deployed for those. But I think there's a lot of research going on in this area, and hopefully, this particular, this particular area of how security can be improved in case of touchless apps also is something that people, will be developing or working on in the future as well. The second part is about data accuracy. Now, and also the data, the demo that I showed, I mentioned a lot of the codes, or I spoke a lot of the commands, or the items basically. But how accurate was those is something that you saw, right? So again, the accuracy part, again, it's need to improve, and here is where I think machine learning, or something like AI can actually help. Although right now it's something that I'm working on, but definitely this is something that I also plan to do, to integrate in a proper application, which I would use eventually. And this kind of accuracy will help basically to improve the experience, the overall experience, so that people can leverage this technology for any particular use case. So that is again something that is a challenge, but can be worked on. And thirdly, about device cost. So yes, not everyone can go for maybe those sensors, or those the hardware devices. So you need a solution that could be cost friendly, and at the same time it could make sure that all your needs are satisfied, and the whole process basically is streamlined with less time. So if one could actually go to a restaurant and could place an order, let's say in less than 1 minute or so, then that would actually help to expedite the whole process, and it would actually save a lot of time, instead of one using a mobile app or something like that. So again, this is all using, if it's using touchless technology, it can be using any form, like voice or gesture or those things. So this is again one of the challenges, but I think there is a solution that exists today as well for this. So, what are the future things that the touchless technology have to offer? So, a lot of organizations have actually used this technology. Have actually started adopting this technology into their mainstream system. So, touchless automation again is one area where you actually streamline the whole process of like if you have an app, and you have to develop that app maybe from scratch, and you want to basically make sure that all the phases of the app, for example, standard software development life cycle is basically to be done in a touchless manner. So here is where you can actually also incorporate this technology. So you can, of course, you'll have to utilize, or you'll have to leverage either AI and analytics for that, and you can actually build an entire platform which is touchless. So in this case, touchless would basically mean without any manual or any kind of user intervention. So it would basically be completely automated, where you can use AI and analytics to basically drive the whole process. Then the second part is about mobile apps. So again, mobile apps are also trying to leverage this technology, especially ever since the pandemic started. So a lot of organizations are also thinking of developing mobile apps using this technology. And slowly and steadily, actually, these kind of we are seeing touchless surfaces basically evolving in our workplaces. So a lot of work has also been done on creating surfaces which are touchless, and which help to basically make the work environment touchless, and taking care of all the hygiene and etc. So that part. So this is about the future scope of touchless surfaces or touchless technologies as well. So that's it. So coming to the conclusion of this presentation, so touchless technology, if you foresee touchless technology, I think it definitely will have a huge role to play. So in the near future, so one can actually use this technology to create different kinds of apps, and which are more faster, more efficient, and help to basically reduce the overall wait time, I would say. So that is basically one of the advantages that this kind of technology would offer. So the link to download, I have deployed this application on a public URL, but if one has to customize it, or one can free to download the code, the videos also. I have created a couple of videos of the app recording, so that you can view it, and try it as well. So all this is basically mentioned on the link below. So the next step from actually would be to put it across as a module in npm or either on GitHub, which can help grow, or which will help basically me to put it out across to the community so that it can be used or it can be leveraged for other use cases and not just limited maybe to particular use case. So basically trying to make it more generic and more customizable. So that's it from my side. So these are a couple of references as based on which I have come up with this talk. And once again, I would like to thank the team of jsday for inviting me, and hope you have a wonderful evening. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Karan, for a very interesting talk and also a live demo, which is not always the case. Basically, for me, it was even more special because I played with something like this back in 2016 when I was working on some trading app, and I wanted to add like some fancy feature, just like to look more futuristic. So like, oh, you can switch the route like with the voice commands in Chrome. And I even think it might have been like the same library. I'm not 100% clear on that if it's this one, if it already existed at that time, but the name definitely struck me like familiar. So it was very cool to be like kind of reminded of that thing. And of course, in nowadays world, it makes perfect sense as you described all these basically reasons why this, even once the COVID or something is like finished, it still may make much more sense to like move towards this kind of interfaces because they're just more natural, right? One question which came to mind like with that library is like, because also like during the demo we could see that it struggles a little bit with like the speech recognition, which is not necessarily the problem with the approach, which was maybe the problem with the library, right? Like the approach is still very, very valid. It's just the library. So the question there is this using some model in the Chrome itself, or is it browser independent, or it has its own like speech recognition model, or how does this work?
So I would say it has its own. Again, it's something that as developers you are free to customize. So I have done some sort of customization over there, and yes, it is supporting different browsers. So it works on all browsers, mobile and web. So that's not a problem. Only thing in terms of the accuracy, yes. So one can one has to tune it to basically make sure that it can recognize all kind of words, but so far I have tried it in all it supports multiple languages. So I have tried it with a couple of other languages as well, and it seems to detect like most of the times it's like almost 90%. But you have to cater into also cater into the fact that what kind of the commands or what kind of grammar you are actually providing as input to this library, so that it can help you to get the accurate result. So here is where I think a little bit of ml would come into play.
Definitely. This brings like another question to mind, because like when we are developing the UIs, we are kind of used to having all these resources at our disposal, that like the best practice to like do the sign up flow, the best practice to do the login flow, right? But this is again like totally new paradigm. Can you recommend, or does it even exist? Are there like some resources in these terms of like the UX for the voice?
Yes, yes, definitely. So my recommendation basically to is would be to have a very minimalistic UI in this case, because a user would would not like to have a lot of things on the screen. So maybe just a card based layout where you can actually the command or the speech command or the hot word basically as we call should be present in the form of this minimalistic UI, and the user can actually speak that command only. So rather than actually having him showing him a lot of information, we can just focus on showing him a very minimalistic kind of UI, which will focus more on the speech aspect actually. So that is where I feel one can think about developing this kind of interfaces for voice.
Definitely makes sense. Like if you provide them like, okay, this is the exact next step, then also like they will not be lost. Like, okay, like what am I supposed to do right now? Like there is infinite things I can
Exactly.
do, right? No, this makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. And besides that, I see that you are actually a self-published author. Is that like about the tech, or is it like something else?
Okay, so yes, I also love to write poems. So I am yes, I have written like a couple of books on that, And yes, I also plan to write something on tech, maybe in the coming near future, where I'll be mainly sharing my experiences on JavaScript, AR, VR, and those things. So that something is in the pipeline for the future. So yes, definitely would write something on tech as well.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, like you in your presentation, you shown like maybe like these 5 different areas where like these touchless applications can be like very popular. So, for example, with the transport and stuff like that. And then we focused mostly on the voice aspect, which I can imagine could be problematic in some of those places because they can be pretty loud. Did you do
Yes.
some research in terms of like, I know like most of the cell phones, they have like a front camera, so maybe like the different kind of like gesture recognition or something like that?
Yes. Yes. So if you ask me personally, I think in order to develop a kind of a robust system, especially in public places, I would rather use a combination of gesture and voice. So that would actually help to make the process more simpler, because yes, I understand that in case of a noisy environment the voice can be a problem, but there is where you can leverage your, as you mentioned, the camera, so you can have gestures, and then for certain things you could just use a voice. So I would say in order to build a robust system, relying on voice would be a little difficult, especially in public places, but then you could have a combination of both as well, so that would help you to make sure that the hurdles are overcome.
Do you remember like some example of applications of any kind of companies, not about like the promotion or whatever, just like more like if somebody could try out application of some company which is already doing this in like
Mhm.
production, or how to say, in a real app store, so they could maybe like get an inspiration. So like this is how like some real world company solved some problem using this approach, or we still have to wait until this starts popping out?
Well, to my mind, I have come across a lot of organizations, but I'm not sure whether they are in production or not. But there are a lot of organizations who have actually deployed this even in like our airports and restaurants itself. So I think a very popular example would be Uber in that case. So I think Uber has a new feature that it has introduced to make the whole process touchless. So this is something that has come up recently, I would say. But there are so many examples that one has to actually try to understand the use case and see whether it would be applicable to his or her needs, and then try to leverage that. So yes, but it has come. I think organizations have deployed it in production. It's just that there's a awareness also has to be more on this aspects. Yes.
As you are saying, because I do use Uber from time to time, and I was not aware that actually I can try it out just using the voice. So it is something which I will most likely then try in the future, just because I can, right? So just to,
Mm.
because it's also like one of the things which I was thinking about lately, that uh, it's like let's say my parents, when they have to like turn on the computer, they are confused, and like then our generation is very used to like working on the computers, maybe even the touch screens, but the voice will most likely be like this next thing, which not just because of the pandemic, it's just because it's so natural, and as the AI models gets better and better, so like just to get like used to this kind of stuff. So this could be also kind of like a stepping stone on that journey to just get used to this kind of control, and just that it feels natural, so that we kind of don't fall behind on like the technology, or how to say.
Yes, yes. So one more area I think is about contact-free deliveries, especially since a lot of delivery happens nowadays at your doorstep. So again, contact-free deliveries is something that a lot of organizations are also looking into. So I think that is one more area. So that is
Definitely.
yeah. Yeah.
Besides that, do we have some more questions? Let's have a quick look into the chats. Not anymore. So then I would like to thank you for a very interesting talk, very up-to-date talk, and very relevant talk. So I hope that it got people thinking when they are implementing their new startup or an app to maybe consider adding this kind of like UI or like the touchless approach, which would make sense and bring them more to the future. So with that being said, thank you, Karan, again. Hopefully to see you at some future edition of the JSday Italy, hopefully also in person one day, and wish you a great rest of the day.
Okay, thank you, and it was a pleasure. And thanks so much once again to the entire team. And looking forward to seeing in person. Hopefully someday. Yes. Thank you so much.
Ciao, Karan.
Ciao. Bye.